This building took 37 years to complete, and some of the workers who started it never saw it finished. They gave their sweat, their years, and at least 7 gave their lives to this building. The work was hard, and the price was high, and yet they persevered. Every day the workers kept coming back. Every day, because they believe in building something bigger than themselves. They believe that here, on these plains, we can scratch out a better future for working people. They had a vision, but most importantly, they had each other. And here's the one thing we can't forget. While those workers were building this beautiful building during the day, when their shifts were over, they were building something even more powerful. In 1890, the same year that that dome was raised, those same workers met here in Topeka to form the Kansas State Federation of Labor. That's right. Those same hands, the same people, building a state house during the day and building a movement in the evenings. That's who we are, and that's what we do. We build things that last. And it wasn't just this building. Kansas itself was built by people who work. Kansas was built by the farmers who broke open the prairie, by railroad workers who connected us to the world, by packing house workers that fed a nation, and by teachers who educated generations. The nurses who healed us, and the firefighters who kept us safe, the construction workers who raised our cities from the plains, and yes, the machinists who made this state a powerhouse of aviation. When times got hard, and they always do, we didn't wait for someone to come in and save us. We organized, we stood together, and we built something that lasted. Now, I want you to look around at something even more important than these walls and that dome. That is, I want you to look at your brothers and sisters who are here with you today. Please, take a look. Just look around this room. See how full this is. That person you're sitting next to took time off work to be here. They juggled childcare. They had 100 reasons that they didn't have to show up today, but they did. They showed up for you. They're not here because it's easy. They're here because they know what you know, that we're still building. The work that our founders started 136 years ago, it isn't finished. It's never finished. Every right we have, from the weekend to the 8-hour workday to the safety standards that bring you home alive at the end of your shift, somebody built that. Brick by brick, contract by contract, and fight by fight. This is what you built. So take pride in this. Take pride in the buildings you build and in the state you built. Because this rotunda, that dome, these marble floors, this can feel like a building built for other people. Fancy people, people in suits, senators and governors. But you know what? This is your house. This is your state. Yeah. And when you walk these halls today, when you sit down with your legislators, don't let anyone make you feel like your voice doesn't belong to you. Who built this place get to have a say in how it's run. But right now, in offices, upstairs, and in Washington, D.C., there are people who want to tear down what we have built. They're rigging congressional maps to silence your voice in Washington, D.C. They've stripped local communities from the right to set fair wages on public projects. They're draining money from public schools to subsidize private ones. And they're coming for what's left of our right to organize. They think that we forgot how to build. They think that we're too divided, too tired, and too beaten down. But here's what they don't understand. We're still here. In the same building that our people raised with their hands, doing the same work that our founders started. And we will be here long after these walls have crumble. We are not going anywhere. They want us divided. We're standing together. They want us silent. We're speaking up. This house. We did. That's right. Ad astra per aspera. To the stars through difficulty. That's not just our state's motto. That's the union method. We do the hard work. We build the future together. Now, to lay out exactly what we're fighting for and how we're going to win, please welcome my colleague, my brother, the Executive Vice President of the Kansas AFL-CIO, John Nave.
Good morning. Good morning. You know, I'm going to start out with something and then we'll break it down, but we are the what? Union. Say it loud. Say it loud. We are Union. We are Union. We are Union. Right. That's better. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Governor. Thank you to our speakers today who took time out. We have a message today that's going to resonate here today. Okay? But first, I want to do this as out of respect for our elected officials. Now, here's what I need. All the elected officials in the House and Senate, stand up, raise your hand, step out and wave if you're here today. If you're here on the floor today, a lot of them are in committee. Thank you for what you do. You're in the fight. You don't give up. I want to say we appreciate you. But today is a little different in what we're going to be moving forward in the days and weeks and months and in the years, because as we say, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes building relationships. Even when we disagree, we say, we're coming back. Coming back, we'll be back. Okay? Governor Kelly's speech resonated with a lot of us yesterday evening. She talked about the issues, what made Kansas the best state in the country, because we build it together. Even when they disagreed, we still came across the common ground and we built it together. It forged relationships. That's how we got some things done in these last few years. Building relationships. Even when we disagree. We don't give up and we don't say no. We come right back. Okay? We're going to educate. As they talked about prevailing wage, local control. You know, keeping strong on speaking about public education. No to redistricting. And one thing that I'm becoming more passionate about is us as labor leaders from across the state fighting for working families, educating about what we do. We must do that every time we get a chance to educate our neighbors and our families about what we do, why we do it, and that we're there for them and help them. And the thing that we can do moving forward in the months, days, and years is to raise the minimum wage. Okay? Raise the minimum wage. So many working families that cannot sustain themselves and their families, right? So what we do is we educate. We educate our elected officials at the local and in the state house about the raising the minimum wage. It's long overdue. It's long overdue. And we start having those conversations. Guess what? We educate our members about what we really need. And then they put pressure on those elected officials and have conversations and build those relationships. We lead the way because we are the union. Okay? So I want to thank you again for all that you do and that you're here today, as Jake has said and Brian has said. You took time out. Okay, so we're going to keep it moving. And what I'd like to do is introduce our first speaker. And he comes from the IFPT, President Matthew Biggs. And I'm going to give you a little history on it. Hang on, brother. Our next, he leads a union representing engineers, scientists, and technical professionals across the United States and Canada. He spent over 2 decades fighting to protect union jobs in aerospace, energy, and defense, and defending collective bargaining rights for public sector workers. Please welcome the President of the International Federation of Professional and Technical Engineers, Matthew Biggs.
But we're an AFL-CIO affiliated labor union. We represent 90,000 workers across North America, including 4,000 workers right here in Kansas. I do want to recognize a couple of our leaders. Matthew Joyce right here from Wichita. He works here. Donna Lee, also from Wichita. Donna's retired. So I'm honored to stand here with you in solidarity. And your theme for your rally today is standing together makes us stronger. So as the president of IFPT, I applaud you on this theme, and I'm here to tell you that this is exactly what IFPT has been preaching since Donald Trump assumed office on January 20th. We've actually been preaching it before, but it's important now more than ever. Now, what I'm going to say here is not partisan, okay? We represent folks in our union like all of our unions, from the right to the left. And sometimes in our own union family, we get heated at each other just based on politics. We need to stick to labor issues as unions, right? So what I'm going to tell you here today about what's going on, and I'll talk about what's going on in Washington, and then I'll talk about a little bit how it could affect folks at the state level. What's going on, what I'm going to talk about is factual. So to be clear, we at IFPT, we stand with any lawmaker, regardless of party, who stands with our union and our American labor movement. So, our union members, particularly those in the federal sector, have been under attack. They've been the targets of the most aggressive union-busting campaign by a United States president in American history. And indeed, this is the biggest attack on labor unions this nation has ever seen. So these are just facts. President Trump signed an executive order in March that strengthened collective bargaining rights from over 1 million American workers, federal employees, including right here in Kansas, including tens of thousands of IFPT members. This president doubled down and signed another executive order, the same executive order but included more agencies, in late August. And he signed it, get this, the Friday before Labor Day weekend. That's shameful. And that stripped collective bargaining rights from another 300,000 federal workers, including IFPT members. So the question is, what are we doing as a union? What are we doing as a labor movement to fight back against these unprecedented attacks on our collective bargaining rights? Now, these executive orders he signed, keep in mind, these are executive orders. These aren't laws. Congress didn't pass these laws. He signed them unilaterally, which like what this administration is doing. They're doing things unilaterally without congressional approval. He signed them. And we continue saying these executive orders are illegal. And IFPT and a lot of other unions, we're suing in court right now. We're a part of multiple lawsuits, and we're winning. We're winning in federal court right now in the courts.
Yeah.
Now, if I told you this wasn't taking a toll on our resources, I'd be lying. Our legal bills are through the roof. That's part of the point of this union busting, to suck away all our resources. When this president signed those executive orders, along with the elimination of collective bargaining rights, also went the elimination of union dues payroll deduction. So overnight, like that, our union and a lot of other unions lost the income from our members. We no longer were collecting dues. Just keep that in mind. So we're winning in the courts, we're suing, and we're winning in the courts. We're also working at the legislative level in Congress, and we're working bipartisan legislation, bipartisan, to repeal the executive orders. There's a bill called Protect America's Workforce Act. There's a bill in the House, there's a bill in the Senate. The bill in the House got enough signatures, it's called a discharge petition, to skip Speaker Mike Johnson's blocking of the bill and go straight to the House floor. That wouldn't have happened without Republican that legislation passed the House in December. It's before the Senate now. And as I stand here right now, there's a huge rally in Washington, D.C. that our union is at, and a lot of other unions, AFL-CIO, all the other unions, demanding that the United States Senate pass that legislation. So we're also working in coalition with the AFL-CIO and many other unions on our grassroots work. Our strength as a union are our members. Our members are mobilizing on the ground. They're mobilizing by visiting their lawmakers, and we're using our strength as a union at the grassroots level to put pressure on lawmakers of all political parties and hold them accountable come election time. If they don't stand with us, we're going to replace them. They're not going to have a job anymore. That's both at the state level and at the federal level. So our message to our members and our locals is clear. And it's much like what Jake said. Trump will not bust our unions, period. He will not bust our unions. We were around long before law ever gave us the ability to have collective bargaining rights. And we're going to be around long after this lawless president leaves office. Because that's So, and I'll say this also, it's just our strength is stronger as a union and as a labor movement. All the unions have come together to fight this union. And all the unions have come together. The public sector unions, the federal unions, the private unions. Because everyone understands that if it's allowed to happen to federal employees, it can come to the private sector and it can come to the state and local employers as well. So we're all fighting together. Now, before I conclude,
Don't worry about it.
I just want
It's
to
all right.
talk a little bit about the attacks
Don't worry about it.
on healthcare in this country, particularly Medicaid. Now, Kansas, unfortunately, I think is one of just a handful of states that has yet to accept the Medicaid expansion. That came through with the Affordable Care Act. Kansas needs to accept the Medicaid expansion. You all pay federal taxes, and you're one of just a few states that don't get the Medicaid expansion through the Affordable Care Act. That's unconscionable. That's unconscionable. And every lawmaker in this building that doesn't support that should be held accountable. I'll say the other thing about Medicaid. Medicaid dollars from the federal government to the states. It's a state-administered program. The money comes from the federal government. It's the number one source of federal revenue to states in this country. The number one source of federal revenue is Medicaid money that goes to states. And what this Congress did with the support of the administration last year through the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, so much beautiful about it cut Medicaid dollars by $1 trillion. $1 trillion has come from the Medicaid program. Now, we all know, I think we all know, Medicaid recipients are society. For the elderly, for children, for the disabled. So it's really devastating for the people that receive the Medicaid. It's also devastating for rural hospitals, right here in Kansas also. CBO, Congressional Budget Office, scored this, and they said if this bill passed, and it ended up passing, unfortunately, 800 rural hospitals, more than 800 will close all across the country. And Kansas will be one of the states that's going to get hit hardest by this. That is shameful. That is shameful. And the last thing I'll say about Medicaid, let's tie it, let's tie it all down to a work position, okay? It is a work position. IFPT, our union, and a lot of unions in here, represent that's going to hurt state governments and the services that state governments provide to their citizens. And the state governments that want to try and make up for that shortfall are no doubt state programs that's going to hurt state government jobs. It's going to reduce state jobs all across this country. People are going to become unemployed because of this Medicaid, because of this tough Medicaid. So it's, this huge cut, unprecedented cut to Medicaid is going to be bad in a number of ways. Now our union and the AFL-CIO and the state Fed, we're all working to have some of that money restored as best we can moving forward. Now you all will be visiting with your lawmakers here today, and our message to them is that unions, like I said, are only getting stronger. So let's be proactive. Let's thank them for supporting our legislation. Let's hold them accountable for not supporting our legislation, and let's urge them to introduce and pass proactive, worker-friendly legislation. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Our next speaker is also from the IFPTE. Gay Hinton knows what it means to protect workers, literally. She spent years as a health physician providing radiation protection at the Tennessee Valley Authority before she became a union leader. She led her local through a successful fight to stop the outsourcing of 220 IT jobs during the pandemic. She now serves on the AFL-CIO committees of engineer, safety, and women workers, and advises the U.S. Secretary of Labor on federal working safety. Let's please welcome IFPT Secretary Treasurer Gay Hinton.
the folks that we represent. It really matters. So I want to say hi to Matt and Joyce here, and no matter and Donna. Donna is she's like a fireball. Appreciate her. Incredible leaders out of IPTE, and they've worked here in the labor movement in Kansas for years. So Matt was talking about all the direct assaults that we've had against us. As you know, we have 1/3 of our group is federal workers, but a large part of our group is public workers. All of it ties together, and the attacks that we have are really direct assaults against everyone in labor, including you here today. And I want to say what the governor said earlier is true, that it's important that we are true partners. Now, true partners, no side takes a back seat. True partners just side by side, barrel through, and get things done. And true partnership is essential. I mean, it's very important that business understands that they need you, and you, and you, all the workers. And that if they can't partner together, link together to get that done, that's a problem. The best is the partner at any rate. And I want to say this. One thing I think we've got to guard against in the labor movement right now is fatigue. It was mentioned briefly earlier, but it's easy to get tired. I mean, if the fight is hard, and it doesn't even make sense half the time what you're fighting about, and if you let fatigue take over, you don't have to take a break a minute, but get right back in. And make sure you fight personally against that fatigue, because they're counting on you to be too tired to do it. And you're not. You're never going to be too tired, are you, to do it? No. So, like we said earlier, 1/3 of our union is federal workers. Golly dog, one day in March, they took our collective bargaining. Imagine this. You're in a union, you got your brothers and your sisters right there with you, you're working every day, you do what everybody needs you to do, you do your best job, and you wake up in the morning and you have no contract. You've got no collective bargaining. Imagine. I mean, it's meant to devastate everything that we do. I'm sure that those rights will get restored, but as a union, we have to all of us have to be nimble. But to keep in mind that with the elimination of these collective bargaining agreements came the elimination of dues, which means they want to make sure they starve your union to death so we can't fight for you. That's unacceptable, isn't it? We realize that the elimination of dues is not unique to just the federal people, but it's everybody in the sector. Some states have sought to eliminate the dues, like remember Scott Walker in Washington, in Wisconsin, y'all remember this not too long ago, there you go, trying it again now on a larger level. Well, it didn't work there because the public sector unions like AFSCME and AFT and NEA, that just to name a few, started their own dues collection, and we're doing that too. The Trump attacks on labor didn't start last year. They started really whenever the Supreme Court kind of got stacked with anti-union, anti-worker justices. I can name them, you know who they are. And it didn't take long for them to come after us as a labor movement. We're not going to have it. We're not. We're going to stand up and fight back, right? Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. In 2018, the Supreme Court threw out decades of public sector precedent with Janus. And that was a huge attack. It was a major assault. And ruled that state and local government workplaces across the country became like Kansas and Tennessee, right to work situations. Now, this is something you all know in Kansas that's really right to work for less. That's what it really is. Of course, let's not forget that these laws are immoral and something that our labor movement should never accept. So I'm going to quote Dr. Martin Luther King because he said it really best in 1961. It was a long time ago, but it's real for today. And that is this. He said, in our glorious fight for civil rights, we must guard against being fooled by false slogans such as right to work. It's a law to rob us of our civil rights and our job rights. Its purpose is to restore labor unions and the freedom of collective bargaining by which unions have improved wages, working conditions for everyone. Whenever these laws have been passed, wages are lower, job opportunities are fewer, and there are no civil rights. We do not intend to let them do this. We don't today, do we intend to let them do this? No. We demand that this fraud be stopped. Our weapon is our vote. I'll say all this because despite these right-to-work laws being immoral, and despite attempts to eliminate us by denying us union payroll dues deductions, we are standing strong as brothers and sisters, together as a family. At IPTE, for example, we looked at what unions did to AFSCME, AFT, and the NEA to get their dues cut off. We quickly mobilized grassroots membership engagement to get dues back through meetings, that's existing meetings. And that's what we've done. So these anti-worker, anti-union, anti-families, politicians, they think they killed us off, but they are mistaken. We are still here, and we are stronger. And our resolve, and our solidarity, and our fighting spirit is stronger than it's ever been. So as you go out in the next few days, I'm advocating this. As today, when you go, talk to people. My mother said to me when I was a little child, and it stuck with me, and I didn't think much about it until I got more into adulthood, and I started realizing that she was absolutely right. And that is, you have to ask for what you want. And I get that, but you know, as a kid, everything you want, mom and dad gave it to you, making sure you got it. But it's very important that you know that if you don't ask, there's a real good chance you'll never get what you really want. And so today, think about that when you go talk to people. Make sure you ask for what you want, give a good reason for it, and if, as Nate said, you get a no, let them know you see them later, but you're not giving up on it. Ask for what you want or take what you get. So do that today, ask. And then I want to say this last one thing. I had a friend from Canada, which, you know, if you think about it, Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Venezuela, they're all in a precarious situation right now. So you would think that she'll be thinking about what they're doing over there. But she called me and said, as a union sister, she encouraged me. She said, I can't imagine what y'all are going through with all these attacks and everything that you're doing. I mean, it's too much.
This is the union one.
And
I think the other one's upstairs.
To this huge group of people here today is that we are a union. That's why I say back here, we're a union. We were born to fight. We were born for this. And so we were made to win. We're going to win. You're going to win.
Yeah.
We're here today to win at all costs, and we're going to win. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you for the solidarity. I love you, brothers and sisters. Thank you.